Hi. Welcome to the Human Design for Marketing podcast. I'm your host, Yvette Mayer, and this show's for you if you're done with cookie cutter marketing and ready to build your personal brand in alignment with who you really are. Let's dive in. Hello, and welcome back to the Human Design for Marketing podcast and our special series on the 12 lessons of 2024. We are moving into lesson 6, which is probably going to be one of the more heavier lessons. It was a heavier time for me, but as always, there are deep lessons and wisdom that come from challenge. And that was part of the genesis of me running this series, is to take you behind the scenes of what was really going on in my life, my personal life, and in my business. And I don't think you get exposure to this level of vulnerability, or you don't actually, while it's happening. But on reflection, it is such a beautiful process to go through for me personally, for you to go through when you look back at your year. And it's a time when I believe that opening up and being more vulnerable with you as part of your process around reflection can actually lead you towards growth. So that's what we're doing in this series. And we're now talking about June. So as I finished May, my dad had just gotten really sick. I was also in the middle of a launch for the Frequency Project, which I had planned out to be the biggest launch of all time. And it had kicked off with high energy and then was quickly followed by, I was just going to use the word crickets. Let's call it crickets. There were people signing up. There were a few sign-ups, but it was nowhere near my expectations based on my effort, based on my plans. And then with Dad getting sick at this time and it being very serious, it took away that everything's about this launch focus as I showed up and was completely present for what was happening with Dad, and things got worse. So very sadly, on the 7th of June this year, 2024, my dad passed away. Oh, heavy. And what I can say about this time in my life was that I do actually have a lot of gratitude for some of the things that happened. Firstly, I have a lot of gratitude for the fact that I was able to completely defer things that were happening in my business. I stopped being in the marketing effort of the Frequency Project. I pushed the start date back, and everybody that had already signed up, and I think I had 4 or 5 that had signed up by this stage, was totally fine with me actually starting a few weeks later, because in my personal life, I was, in the process of planning or being a part of planning the funeral and pulling together the slideshow for that and helping with the wake, and all of that was what was actually my priority, of course. When I look back at what were the things that came away that I think is really important for you to hear, the first one is that business is only business. And even when we're in some form of scarcity around, oh my goodness, now I'm not making it, like, it's just not that important. It's just not that important when you look at the broader scheme of things. That's the first thing. Second was, I really felt this deep connection with my brother and sister during this time. And we've always been close, but this was more a deeper connection. Like the amount of time that we were in each other's company, all 3 of us were at Dad's bedside for the last 7 days of his life, all day, every day, a lot of the time. My brother and sister did have to show up for their work more than I did. I just checked out, which I was able to do because I'm the boss, and I made the decision that work could wait. So I was grateful that I could do that. I was also grateful that I had this deep connection with my brother and sister during this time, and that we were so there for each other. And that, there's been something very healing in that part of what was happening at this time. And I would say if there was a highlight for June, it would be this connection to family, this showing up and being there for each other and holding each other. Love, lots of love. There was lots of love. So that was really the best part of June for me, amongst a very difficult time. Also, when the funeral was over and it was time to really get back into work, on the very first day that I was planning to do that, I woke up with COVID. So another lesson in here, COVID is not over. COVID still happens. I got COVID and I was knocked down for almost another week by having COVID. Work-wise, okay, this is where it gets interesting, I think. Work-wise, whilst I was completely offline, and I was offline for 3 weeks, like 3 weeks of June, not working, I was still having sales of my low ticket product without being active in my marketing at all. And it was just a couple of $100, but just seeing that coming through was new for me because I'd only created my first low ticket product in December of 2023, where in June I'd had some good buoyancy of this product early in the year when I was promoting it, and it was still for sale. You could find it through my social media presence and on my website and things like that, but I wasn't actively marketing it. So one of the things was that I realized during this time was I want more of that. I want more recurring or new revenue coming in when I'm not working, so that when things are happening in my personal life, or whether that's good or bad, whether it's I'm traveling, I'm having a good time, I'm off doing something, I want more of that. That is goals. And I got back to working at the end of June and I said to my team, this is the scenario. I'm about to go away for another 2 weeks at the end of July. And I want to make a goal for us as a team to turn that $200 that happened in the last few weeks into $2,000. Let's 10 times it by really focusing over the next few weeks on what it would take for that to be true when I go off on this trip that I was going off in India. So there you go. That was my June. As I said, this was going to be a heavier one because losing a parent is massive, and I don't want to play that down. But yes, the lesson or the highlight really was family and closeness with my siblings, and the lesson was that I could be offline making money, and I wanted to do more of that. All right, that's it for this lesson 6, and I'll be back with you soon with lesson 7. Hope you're enjoying this series. I'd love to hear your feedback. Jump into my Instagram DM anytime. And as I've been sharing along the way, I want you to be reflecting on your year as well. Like, what have you taken away? When we do this process, when we really reflect, we expand our growth and we more effectively integrate those lessons rather than it's just life. So I hope you're doing that along the way as well. I'll be back soon. There are heaps more resources in the show notes. I can't wait to be back in your ears again soon. Bye for now.